Hello and welcome to Extra Innings, everybody. I am your host, Vann and Owen, alongside Owen Noland. We are so close to the beginning of baseball season, I can taste it. The last week, really half week, of spring training is this week, and everybody will be opening at once on Thursday. So we are very happy for that, which means we have a very big show for you guys today. We have our season preview predictions, whatever you want to call it. We will be going through division by division, we'll be giving wild card winners, and we will be giving our World Series winners in this show. So it might be a longer episode, and with that we are not going to get to it. By the way, I just would like to jump in and say we're doing this from a hotel in Dallas. We actually went to a Rangers spring training game at their home ballpark, Globe Life Park, yesterday, but that's not really the point of what I was going to say was that we have a furnace. Air conditioning.
Not a furnace, it's air conditioning that occasionally comes on and is really loud at this hotel. So you might hear that in the background. It kind of goes off and on, so it won't be on the whole time, I hope. You might be able to hear it right now, I'm not sure. But if you do hear that noise in the background, that's what it is. Again, we're in Dallas right now. This is our spring break, so we took the time to go down to Dallas, see a Rangers game at their ballpark, cross another ballpark off the list for Vann and I. That's actually our 16th major league ballpark that we've been to. But like Van said, let's get right into it. We've got a packed show for you guys. All the predictions. Which division do you want to start in?
Let's start in the... I can't remember where we started last year. So.
I think we started in the American League. American League East. Move east to west. So we'll start with the American League East.
All right.
Who do you have winning the American League?
Should we go through all 5 teams?
I mean, we might as well. You don't have to talk a whole lot about each team, but
all right,
because otherwise that would take all night. We don't have all night.
Yes, but let's start with let's start in 5th place. I guess we probably agree on a lot of these though. I have the Rays finishing in last. I would imagine it would be the same for you, Owen.
Yes, I don't think many people would disagree. It might be a long year for Rays fans.
Yes. Unfortunately. And then in 4th place, I have the Orioles finishing. I just don't know if they're going to have enough pitching and even offense this year to compete with what I think is a really talented AL East division. I could see the Orioles even finishing in 4th place and having maybe a 500 record, the way that the AL East is set up this year. And then in 3rd place, I have the Toronto Blue Jays. I think they could really give the Yankees or the Red Sox a run for their money. I think they could be a sneaky team, right? Last year, not a very good start, not a very good season for them in general, but the pitching seems to be there. Aaron Sanchez a few years ago, two years ago, was a top 5 pitcher in the American League. He was hurt a lot last year. Marcus Stroman, supposed to be the opening day starter this year, will now be starting in the 2nd series due to some shoulder problems. But if they can stay healthy and the offense can come around and have a year like they had 2 years ago, the second half of the year, watch out. Maybe the Blue Jays team could contend for a wild card. I'm not going to give away any wild card teams just yet. We will do that at the end after we're done with all the division winners, and then we'll go into World Series. So I'm not going to tell you any wild card winners yet, but the next team on the list, I have the Boston Red Sox finishing in 2nd of the American League East. Owen shakes his head right now.
That's our first disagreement.
All right.
The bottom 3 you had correct. These next 2 not so much.
All right, but I have the Red Sox finishing in 2nd, which means I have the Yankees finishing 1st. I think Judge and Stanton can slug them to a American League East crown. Now, whether they're built to win in October is a whole nother question. but I think the Red Sox and the Yankees, definitely two of the two best teams in this division. And you're shaking your head. Why do you have the Red Sox finishing ahead of the Yankees?
I have the Red Sox finishing ahead of the Yankees. I think they have better pitching than the Yankees do. Some things didn't go right for them last year, namely David Price. He had one of the worst years of his career, but he's still a good starting pitcher. I think he'll have a bounce-back year. And that Red Sox lineup didn't lose any pieces this past year from a team that won the division last year. Yes, you have some questions. Dustin Pedroia is getting older and is injury-prone. But I think you still have a good young core with Xander Bogaerts, Jackie Bradley Jr., Mookie Betts. And you also, oh, by the way, added J.D. Martinez, who had one of the most incredible 2 months and about a week of baseball that we've ever seen, hitting 29 home runs in that short span with the Diamondbacks last year and almost single-handedly carrying them to the wild card game and a playoff victory last year. So you look at that combined with, I think they have a better pitching staff than the Yankees, or at least that's the way it lines up on paper. You've got a guy like Chris Sale, your number one, is a Cy Young contender every year. I already talked about David Price. Rick Porcello also won a Cy Young. So you got a good starting rotation, and the back end of that bullpen, Craig Kimbrell, is as good as it gets for the Red Sox, and I think ultimately that's the difference, is the starting pitching and the bullpen. Pitching is what's going to win you games, and it's what's going to decide the division in this case. I'm not going to disagree with you. I think the Yankees are a very good team and could win 90 games. Probably will win more than 90 games. I just think the Red Sox have better pitching, and for that reason I have them ahead of the Yankees winning the AL East.
All right, we will move on to the American League Central now. Do you want to start us off on at the bottom?
All right, I'll start off at the bottom of the American League Central Division. I'll pick the Detroit Tigers. I don't think there's going to be a lot of disagreement there. In fourth place, I have the Chicago White Sox. They've got a good farm system, but are a few years away, and I think are in better position than the Tigers are at this point. The Tigers are going to be one of the worst teams in baseball, fighting for the number one pick come September. And then, in third place, I have the Kansas City Royals. They've got okay pitching and they've got okay hitting, but they're not going to compete with the elite teams in the American League, although they, I think, could finish around 500. They'll hover around the 500 mark. They're not going to be awful like I think the White Sox and Tigers will be. In second place, I have the Minnesota Twins. I think, you think about second place, that's where they finished last year, but I think they take a step forward in terms of the number of wins. Last year they were, 84, 85 wins? I think this year they're closer to 90. Byron Buxton has figured out how to hit at the big league level, we think. They've got a lot of pitching depth. They've signed some veterans that I think will help them with the young pitching that they have. Jose Barrios is probably their ace. No, Irvin Santana, but Irvin Santana is hurt. Jose Barrios, I think, will start opening day. And then you look at Lance Lynn, Jake Odorizzi, are two guys at the back end of your rotation you can slot in there to pitch every fifth day, kind of innings eaters. Nothing spectacular. They're not the ace, but they'll eat innings for you, and they'll give you quality starts. Keep you in ball games, which is all you can really ask out of them. Their bullpen, Fernando Rodney and Addison Reed, are good. Actually, Fernando Rodney's kind of been up and down. I'm looking at Phil Hughes. So they've got some arms in the bullpen. It's not elite by any means, but it's good enough, and I think when you look at the rest of that division, the Tigers are bad, the White Sox are bad. Those are not easy wins because nothing's ever an easy win in baseball, but some easier games that I think will help them. And then in first place is the Cleveland Indians. They've dominated that division the past 2 years, winning the American League in 2016 and last year going on a historic win streak in the month of August. in September. Did that go into September?
Yes, it did.
Before losing in the ALCS to the Houston Astros, eventual world champion Houston Astros. So I have the Indians winning that again. They are loaded as they were a year ago, and still are.
Yeah, not a lot of new faces, new big-time faces in this division. A few.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of shakeup, if any, in that division.
Yes. I actually agree with you completely. I don't think the Indians will completely run away with it, however. I think the Twins can keep it close.
Yeah, I don't think the... Look, the reason the Indians ran away with it last year was because of that win streak, and I forget what the exact number was. 27, 28, I don't even know. Something crazy. So it won't be like that this year. And the Twins will give them a run for their money because I think they've improved a lot, and the Indians will regress, although not because they've gotten worse, just because they won't go on a 28-game win streak again. So it'll be a lot closer than last year, a division to keep an eye on. They blew it out early, the Indians did last year because of the win streak, but they won't do that again this year. And the Twins could surprise some people, and maybe even surprise myself if they are in it in September and end up winning the division. You never know, but it'll be a lot closer. Van, do your predictions differ at all?
You had the Tigers in 5th, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the White Sox in 4th. Yeah, Royals 3rd, Twins. Yes, that is exactly what I had. Yeah, I pretty much agree with you on a lot of stuff there. Not a lot of new faces or anything in this division. The Indians could reach 100 wins again. I think they'll... If they don't reach 100 wins, I'd pencil them at least 98 wins.
I agree with you there.
Do you think either the two bottom feeders, the Tigers or the White Sox, get 100 losses?
That's tough because there are some bad teams. The Rays, Marlins. Did the Tigers get 100 losses? I don't think the White Sox do. I think the White Sox will be closer to the 70 win mark, a little over 70 wins, 75. The Tigers, though, yes, I'll say they get 100 losses.
All right. See, 100 losses is pretty hard to do.
It is, but I think they can do it.
I think they can
I believe in you, Tigers. You can get 100 losses.
I guess. I don't know. Next, we will move on to the American League West, home to the 2017 World Series champion, Houston Astros. Let's start. I'm going to start in 5th place for now. I guess we could probably both pencil in the Oakland Athletics here for 5th place in the division. I don't think they're quite as bad. I think they're steadily improving. I don't know if it's even steadily, but just slowly improving. And then in 4th place, I watched the Rangers play last night. I want to say they can do good things. They still have talent. It's going to take a few breakout years from some people if they're going to finish. If I'm going to put them in 3rd, but I don't know. For now, I guess I'll... maybe I'll stick the Seattle Mariners in 4th place. I've always bought the Seattle Mariners. I've always wanted them to do good. They've always been my kind of dark horse. That's never really worked out. They've been close the past few years.
So why can't this year be their year?
I think the rest of the division has gone too good. The Angels are back.
Are they, though?
I mean, they're not back, but they're certainly better than the team that they've been the past couple of years.
All right.
So I can see the Mariners in 4th place. And then the Rangers only a few games ahead of them in 3rd place. I could see both. Maybe 80 wins, maybe. Slightly under 80 wins. Probably about 77 wins for the Mariners. And the Rangers might get to 500, finishing in 3rd of the division. I do not know, though. But then you have the Angels with Shohei Ohtani. Of course, everyone's going to be excited about him. I don't know. He hasn't had that good of a spring training. I don't know how much he'll really help the team, but I think having Mike Trout there, hopefully a full healthy season can get them to probably 85 wins. And then I think the Astros are probably the far and away the easiest team you can pencil in. And of course, I think they'll get to 100 wins. I think if there's an American League team that does it first, it'll be the Astros, the defending World Series champion. Not a lot of people picked them to do a whole lot last year, but 2 years ago, a lot of people picked them to be really good, and they failed. And then last year, no one was picking them, and they were good. So sort of an interesting case here. I think they're here to stay, though. I think the young players have proven they can do it on the big stage. They've handled the pressure of the biggest stage of all, the Fall Classic. But I think the Astros, you can pencil in at maybe 105 wins.
Oh my, that's a lot of wins.
Yes, it is.
The only disagreement is I flip-flopped the Mariners and the Rangers. I put the Mariners in third, but just because I think they're a little bit above 500. They're not going to compete for a playoff spot, but they'll get 82 or 83 wins. Rangers, I'm just not seeing it. I don't know how they're better than the Mariners, and just for that simple reason, I'm going to put them in fourth. Mariners in third. Angels in second, and just like you, I have the Astros winning the American League West. Kind of by a landslide, I imagine. At least that's how I think.
Yes. And now, we will head on over to the National League. Let's start in the East. I am looking at last year's division standings, and the Marlins actually finished in second, but they had a lot of good pieces. They still had the good outfield. They still had Giancarlo Stanton, Christian Yelich. Everybody was playing good. Justin Bohr was almost an all-star. Lots of good stuff first going on in Miami, and this year it's not looking like that could be the case. I think maybe the best baseball team in Florida is a college team. Probably Florida State or Florida, both in the top 10 of NCAA. And
forget top 10, top 5.
Florida State 7th.
Oh, Florida State 7th, okay. So top 10, okay, you're correct.
Yes, but I'm going to put the Marlins in last place of the division as it stands right now. Do you have the Marlins left? Do you think they get to 100 losses?
I think they do. I think they're a shoo-in for 100 losses.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
You think they'll get 60? You think they'll get 60 wins?
No, I think they're like
59.
59 wins for the Marlins.
All right.
Oof.
Yeah, I have the Braves finishing in fourth of the division. Just the whole scandal, the prospects, all the bad stuff going on.
Down to the fact that they don't have a lot of talent.
Yeah, there's just not a whole lot there. In Atlanta, unfortunately for Braves fans, it's going to be a few years, but a team a little closer to completing the rebuild, they've been rebuilding for a few years now, is the Philadelphia Phillies. What do you think of that? Do you have them in third of the East?
Nope.
No.
Where?
Oh, no.
I have them in second.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I've
Jake Arrieta and Carlos Santana added with that core of young players that they were already... It speeds up their development or their window to compete. It moves it up a year, I think, to this year.
Wow.
I don't... We'll get into the playoff predictions. I don't want to spoil anything. But they're going to compete for a playoff spot this year. Do I have them in it? Well, you have to keep listening. I have the Phillies finishing in second place and the Mets finishing in third.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I have the Mets finishing in second
Just because their starting pitching is going to get hurt again? Yeah, okay.
No, I'm saying that their starting pitching can stay healthy.
Ugh.
Owen does not like that.
Well, it's just not going to happen.
All right. Well, I guess that's the difference, I guess. Projecting for injuries or not, and normally I do definitely take into account injuries. You'll hear that a lot in the next division, I can guarantee it, but...
The Central?
The West. But I think the Mets rotation's too deep. At some point, not all the guys could get hurt. At some point, you have to have two or three of them that survive.
No, they did. They did last year, and look what happened last year.
Even if two or three of them survive...
They're still not...
For a full year...
That's the thing. None of them have ever pitched an entire year.
Exactly. You're going to tell me two of them aren't going to pitch a full year? They can. If two of them are pitching a full year, that's 2 wins. That's a winning series against the Marlins and the Braves almost every time. I think that's enough to get them over the 81 win mark.
Okay, I don't disagree with you. They get to the 80 win mark.
And how many wins do you have the Phillies?
85.
Wow. Okay.
I'm hopping on the Phillies bandwagon early.
Okay. Alrighty then. Then I guess we both have the Nationals in first.
Mm-hmm.
Do they get to 100 wins?
The Nationals? No.
No?
No.
How many wins do you have them at?
I don't think any team in the National League is going to get to 100 wins.
Oh, really?
You sound shocked by that.
I don't know. I think if there's a team, it would be the Nationals.
No. The Nationals are the third best team in the National League.
Alright. Ooh. Really?
Well,
I think I'd call them the... I think they're going to end up with the best record in the National League. That's who I have. We're going to need to go through the divisions to hear your thoughts, because
I have 2 teams better.
Yes, interesting thoughts. But we will.
Yeah, you just wait for it. You're going to be shocked.
Yes. Now, with that, let's head to the National League Central, where last year the Milwaukee Brewers gave the Cubs a scare, so close to making the playoffs, edged out by the Rockies and D-backs. So he has a big smile on his face now. All right, at the bottom you have the Pirates or the Reds.
The Pirates. And then the Reds.
Okay, yeah, that's the same order I have. And then in third place you have the Cardinals.
Cardinals, that's correct.
Okay, and you're really high on the Brewers, I guess.
How do you know?
You have a big smile on your face.
You're right. I think the Brewers are going to win the NL Central. Wait. The Cubs are finishing in second.
You have
the Brewers led the Central for most of the year last year.
All right. And what makes you think they're going to be better than the Cubs?
They've gotten better.
You don't think the Cubs will have a bad first half like they did last year?
I just think the Brewers are a more complete ball club than they are a year ago. Oh, excuse me, I have the hiccups. And are better equipped to endure a 162-game season.
Uh-huh.
And all these young prospects that we've been hearing about in the Brewers system are now up at up in the major leagues. Brewers will win the NL Central. Cubs finish in second.
Okay, so I have the Brewers finishing in second, just for the reason that their starting rotation I don't think is deep enough. Chase Anderson is good, Davies is good, and then Lee Chassin, their number 3 starter, had his moments, and he's probably your pretty much typical 3 starter, I guess, in the big leagues. Maybe he's slightly below average 3 starter in the big leagues. But then, Jimmy Nelson, if he comes around, you could have a deeper rotation than I guess I'm envisioning.
You will.
Alright, and then obviously, yes, the lineup has gotten better. Lorenzo Cain, Christian Yelich.
Exactly.
And
that's all you need to know.
I just don't see the Cubs having that atrocious first half, and that was one of the reasons why the Brewers got off to such a good... I mean, the Cubs' first half wasn't actually atrocious. I shouldn't use that word, but just not as good as
they expected.
Not that they'd expected. I think they were just sort of expecting just to do that and then come on in the second half of the year, get hot at the right time, but I just think the Cubs are too good of a team to have that happen to again. I think the rotation is so much deeper. You have Lester, Hendricks, Darvish, Quintana.
But the thing is with the
Tyler Chatwood is going to be
no, I think Tyler Chatwood will have a good year before you get started on that. But John Lester's getting up there in age. He can't throw to a base. Kyle Hendricks,
the Cubs have my favorite.
Wasn't himself last year. Yu Darvish, watch his World Series tape again, please. He was awful. Jose Quintana might be your best starting pitcher this year. Just in terms of numbers. Yu Darvish struggled last year for the Dodgers. People say he was tipping his pitches. Maybe that's true, maybe that isn't. But the fact of the matter is that he struggled. And if you don't believe me, rewatch the World Series games that he started. It was not pretty. when I think Tyler Chatwood and Jose Quintana, at least numbers-wise this year, could be the two best starting pitchers on the Cubs team. And if you're a Cubs fan, that should scare you.
That should make you really happy.
You paid a lot of money for John Lester and Yu Darvish. They should be your two best starting pitchers.
Okay, but they're still going to pitch, and...
But will they be as effective now?
Even at Lester and Darvish's worst from what we've seen in their career,
Then
they're still going to be above average starting pitchers. You have a full rotation, 1 through 5 of above average starting pitchers. And even if one guy goes down, guess what? Mike Montgomery and Eddie Butler, who saw consistent time with the team last year, are ready to fill in.
You really want Eddie Butler to fill in?
He did it last year, and...
Vin, you're a Rockies fan. You've seen Eddie Butler pitch.
I have, but he's good enough, right?
I guess.
Who else do you want to fill in?
Good enough to start in AAA, sure.
Who else do you want to fill in for a month of the year, right?
A month?
That's probably what he's going to get.
I don't want Eddie... If I'm the Cubs, I don't want Eddie Butler pitching a month.
I mean, it's probably going to happen, right? Injuries happen.
Right.
So, Mike Montgomery...
Okay, fine. You can have Eddie Butler pitch a month in your little Cubs world. The Brewers are winning the NL Central. That's my bold prediction for the year.
All right. The Brewers and the Phillies, I guess.
Yeah, 2 bold predictions. Wait, I never said the Phillies were going to be in the playoffs.
You
just made that up.
You said they were going to be good. That's
you can be
bold
good
prediction in and of itself.
Okay.
All right. Well, anyways, now let's get to probably the most interesting part of the podcast, I would say.
The division that is nearest and dearest to our hearts.
Yes, you could call it that.
The National League West.
Yeah, most people call it the National League West.
Yeah.
All right, let's start in the bottom of the division. Who do you have finishing in 5th?
The San Francisco Giants.
Oh, me too. Yes.
Madison Bumgarner is hurt again.
Yeah.
All the people who were excited about them when they signed traded for Longoria and McCutchen, well, that went down the drain as soon as they looked at their phones and saw that Madison Bumgarner had been hurt again. What did he do? He broke his hand?
He's hurt. He's out for
I know he's hurt for
weeks.
Why? Why is Madison Bumgarner hurt?
Jeff Samardzija is also hurt for that rotation. So that rotation, a lot of people counted on, is suffering right from the beginning. And I can't think of a team last year that got off to a bad start that rebounded and did better.
Madison Bumgarner diagnosed with a fractured left hand. And Giants fans know this, but their farm system is not very deep. They don't have a lot of depth, especially at starting pitching. So when your ace gets injured the last week of spring training, that is horrible. And that's why I have the Giants finishing in last place.
Who do you have in 4th place?
In 4th place, I have the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Ooh. Okay. I have the San Diego Padres. The signing of Eric Hosmer is not going to be enough to put the Padres into 3rd place, which would mean I have the 3rd place team in the NL West winning 85 games. And I don't think the Padres are capable of doing that.
Just because you finish in 3rd place doesn't mean you have to win 85 games.
But that's what I have in the NL West.
Why? Why do you just 3rd place, 85 wins?
I don't do that. I just think that's how good the NL West is. I think the Padres...
But if they're that good, aren't they going to kind of beat up on each other? Because that's the way I envision it. I don't think there's going to be one team that's, really bad. I think you can flip a coin for 3rd through 5th. You could flip a coin. That's how close it is, and it's going to come down...
for 1st through 3rd.
You could. And I just think that the Padres... with some young pitching that they have, I think they'll come up and do well, and I think they'll finish in 3rd. But it'll be really close. Don't get me wrong. It'll be close between them, the Diamondbacks, and the Giants, and even the Rockies and Dodgers. It's going to be a very tight division. It's going to be a very close race throughout the year. You could finish 2nd place and 5th place could be separated by less than 10 games.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
So it's not like, the Diamondbacks are going to finish in 4th because they're bad, and the Padres are going to finish in 3rd because they're better. Right? I mean, they will finish in 3rd if they're better than the Diamondbacks in 4th, but the distance between them won't be that big. It'll be a very close gap.
Yes.
I could easily see a world where the Padres finish in last, and I can easily see a world where they finish in third. So it's really a coin toss.
All right, so we disagree there. And then second place.
Rockies? You have the Rockies?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and the Dodgers in first.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
I think the Rockies could definitely challenge the Dodgers for first place.
I think the Diamondbacks should challenge the Dodgers for first.
You think the Giants, and you had them in fifth, could challenge the Dodgers for first place.
I did not say that. I said the Diamondbacks. I don't think the Giants are going to challenge the Dodgers for first place, but I think every other team in the division could. Why are you laughing?
Okay, I get it. You think everybody in the NL is good. You think okay, you have the Giants in fifth place, right? You think they get to 79 wins?
No.
Okay, 75 wins?
70.
All right, that's fair. Okay. Just to make sure you're not blowing these teams way out of proportion.
No, why would I do that?
I don't know. It sounds like it. You say everybody has a chance, which means they'd all have to get like 85 wins.
Doesn't every team have a chance at this point?
Yes.
I'm just trying to give hope to the baseball fans in Florida.
Yes, you are.
You have a chance.
Yes. All right, but now time for the wild card predictions. Let's go to the AL first, like we started with the division. The AL, your two AL wild card teams are
the New York Yankees and the Los Angeles Angels.
All right. So I have, in the AL wildcard, I have the Boston Red Sox because I had them finishing in second. And the wildcard game will be at Fenway Park, by the way. And the other wildcard winner, I have the Minnesota Twins. You said they would finish in second, but they'd take a step forward. Yeah, well, if they take a step forward, they'd still be in the playoffs. So,
other teams can take a step forward, too.
I know, but I think the Twins are good enough to get back to the wild card. I think the hitters have gotten okay, good, sorry.
What you're forgetting about this is you're looking at the Angels as Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, but what you haven't thought about at all is that quietly Garrett Richards and Matt Shoemaker have had very good spring trainings. Provided that they are healthy, the Angels are a very good team, and any production you get out of Shohei Ohtani is essentially bonus. Because they won't need Shohei Ohtani to hit 300 or have a sub-3 ERA to contend this year, and I think that's what most people expect when they think of the Angels is Ohtani and Trout are going to carry them. No, it's going to be Trout and a pitching staff with guys like Matt Shoemaker, Garrett Richards, and, I'm drawing a blank on his name, Heaney? Andrew Heaney. Those three pitchers will take massive steps forward in their development, and not that they haven't already, but they've just failed to stay healthy the past couple of years. So I think the Angels sneak into the second wildcard spot, ahead of the Twins.
I think I just realized I have the exact same playoffs as last year in the American League.
Except that you have the Yankees winning the division and the Red Sox winning the...
Yeah.
See, that's not going to happen. You can never pick the exact same thing again.
Yeah, there's just so much discrepancy, or so much... such a gap between these top four teams in the American League and just sort of...
It's true.
Everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll switch that. Can I switch that? Is it too late to switch that?
I don't know. Has the season started yet? No.
No. Okay, then that's what I'm going to do. If you're writing this down at home, make a note of this. Instead of second in the wild card in the American League, scratch off what you wrote about the Minnesota Twins and change that to the boys up north, the Toronto Blue Jays.
You can't
have two teams from the same division.
No.
No?
I was going to say you can't have them finishing in the wild card if you have them finishing third of their division. And then I realized your other wild card team is also in that division. So scratch whatever I was thinking.
Yes. The Toronto Blue Jays, led by Aaron Sanchez and Marcus Stroman and Josh Donaldson and, well, whatever other offensive production they find, is going to lead them to the second American League wild card and a trip to Fenway Park to challenge the Red Sox for the right to go on to the actual playoff series.
Okay. That's a good pick.
I think I like Aaron Sanchez, Marcus Stroman. The pitching is I think it's going to be too good, too much for a lot of those other teams to handle, I think.
Are we going to do awards predictions? We bet. Maybe we should speed this up a little bit.
Should we?
Yeah, let's speed this up a little bit.
All right.
We already know the division winners. NL wild card. I don't think there's any debating. We think the Rockies are in.
Yes.
I think they'll host the wild card game this year.
Ooh, that would be so fun.
That would be very fun.
Do my best to go do it.
Yes. Rockies host the wild card. And who do you think they play in the wild card? Rockies versus the
New York Mets.
Oh my.
See, you're not buying the New York Mets. You just think they're all going to get hurt. You live in this world where everybody's hurt. Maybe they'll find a way to get them pitching out there in bubble wrap. And
bubble wrap? Did you just say?
It'll keep them safe. It'll keep them safe. Whatever it takes. I'm pretty sure them on the mound in bubble wrap would probably be better than a lot of other teams starting rotations. Whatever, I think the Mets would be up for this idea. Whatever they can do to keep their pitchers healthy for a 162-game season, they would, I think, do at this point.
Can I make a real quick change?
Yes.
I don't think the Rockies will host the wild card game, though I think they'll still be in the wild card game. I think they will have to travel to the north side of Chicago to take on the Cubs at Wrigley Field in what will be an epic wild card playoff game. I'm thinking it goes extra innings. And then I think the Rockies win in extra innings because of their revamped bullpen. I think the Rockies win the wild card game against the Cubs in Chicago.
Okay, then.
World Series predictions.
Yes.
Who do you have winning the American League, the National League, and then who do you have winning in the Fall Classic?
In the American League, I have the Red Sox winning. And yes, I know I didn't have them winning the division, but the wild card game will motivate them, and they'll get on a roll and go defeat the.
That is, if they get past those Blue Jays and the dominant pitching you think they have.
Yes, they will get past that, and they will make it past every other obstacle in their way, and the World Series will be between the Boston Red Sox. I'm still trying to think of the National League. This is tough. And,
well, think about the teams you put in the playoffs and pick from one of those. There were
and the
5
Washington
teams.
Nationals.
Oh.
The Red Sox and the Nationals in the World Series. This is the Nationals year. One more year with Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper will get his first taste of World Series baseball action. The World Series Game 7 will be played in Washington, D.C. And I think the Nationals will win the 2018 Major League Baseball World Series. Who do you have in the World Series? Owen?
From the American League, I have the Cleveland Indians winning the American League pennant. And from the National League, I have the Los Angeles Dodgers returning to the World Series, even though this pains me to say this as a Rockies fan. But I think they will lose to the Cleveland Indians. The Indians win a World Series title. Cleveland brings home a title after not having one, losing out on one at home 2 years ago to the Chicago Cubs. This is Cleveland's year. The Indians will defeat the Los Angeles Dodgers in the 2018 World Series. Now getting to awards predictions. I think we can just do Cy Young and MVP. So it's kind of been a long podcast, almost 40 minutes already. So let's just take AL and NL Cy Young, AL and NL MVP. We'll start with the Cy Young. Van, who do you think takes it home?
I think Clayton Kershaw wins it from the National League.
That's a given, I think.
Really? Given? Nothing's given.
You're right, nothing is given.
But do you have Kershaw winning as well?
I have Kershaw winning as well.
Yes, and then the Cy Young Award. Let's give it to Corey Kluber. of the Indians. Who's your AL Cy Young Award winner on?
American League Cy Young Award winner, I have Chris Sale of the Boston Red Sox. I mentioned the pitching was why they would finish ahead of the Yankees in the American League. They're going to have one really good one in Chris Sale. Strikes out a ton of batters, obviously a very dominant pitcher in the American League for years, and will take home a Cy Young Award winner this year. Moving on now to the MVP. AL and NL MVP. Van, who do you have taking home the crown?
Which are we starting with, AL or NL?
Whichever one you want.
Alright, well, in the AL, I'm going to go with Jose Altuve. He got the new contract coming off a World Series win. He has more confidence than ever before. I think Jose Altuve will win the American League Most Valuable Player.
Back-to-back?
Yes, back-to-back.
Okay, I'm going to stay in that same division. I'm going to go with Mike Trout in the American League because I mentioned earlier I have the Angels in the playoffs and in the wild card game. Wait, did I say that? I had the Angels in the wild.
Yep, yes you did.
Okay, I did say that?
Yes, you did.
And I think if the Angels make the playoffs, that means that Trout has to have a good season. Which when has he not had a good season? The only reason he did not win it last year is because he missed some time with the broken thumb, was it? Something he did to his hand sliding into a base. Anyways, with a full 162 games this year, Mike Trout takes home the AL MVP in a landslide, getting his team to the playoffs. The Angels back in the playoffs for the first time since 2013. Mike Trout will be a big part of that in Anaheim. In the National League, who do you have taking home the MVP award?
Okay, you may call me a little biased for this.
No, I'll never call you biased if it's a Rockies player.
Yeah, Nolan Arenado. I have him taking home the award.
No, I think it's impossible for a Rockies player to win an MVP award.
Oh, yeah, huh?
It is.
I should take into the fact that Coors Field effect.
Yeah, baseball writers never watch any games at Coors Field. And if they do, they just blame it on Coors whenever the Rockies hit a home run. But whenever our pitchers do something good, they don't give them credit. So, it's, Rockies.
Can I change it?
You can change it right now.
Yeah.
You're just changing everything. All your predictions.
Sorry, I need more time to think. I'm going to go with Bryce Harper in the contract year. Last year with the Nationals, I said the Nationals would win the World Series. Well, a large part of that will be because of Bryce Harper. I think Harper will lead the Nationals to the World Series, lead them to a great regular season. I said they'd have the best record in the National League in the regular season, and that's when these awards are voted on. They will not even know that Bryce Harper will have won the World Series when voting for him. But they will when they announce the award, and that is why Bryce Harper will win the NL award. And then he'll get his big contract in free agency next year and leave Washington. Alright, go on. Sorry.
My MVP prediction is probably somebody you've never thought of throughout the course of the show, but has been an MVP finalist in the past. I'm going to go with Los Angeles Dodgers shortstop Corey Seager to win the award because, if most of you know, it is a popularity contest. Not entirely, but they pick the players that they watch the most. Who do they watch the most on the West Coast? Either Mike Trout and Corey Seager. The Dodgers will be featured in almost every primetime game this year, obviously because they're in Los Angeles and because they have a good baseball team. Corey Seager will have a great year for the Dodgers. The baseball writers will pay no attention to what Nolan Arenado does at Coors Field, and it won't matter because Corey Seager will win the MVP.
There you go.
There you have it, folks.
Is that all the predictions we're going to be making?
I think it is.
Alright. So that will do it for our show this evening. Next week we'll have actual games and games that really count to talk about. starting on Thursday, I know we're on spring break this week, like I already mentioned. I will be doing nothing but lying on my couch watching baseball all day long, and it'll make me so happy that baseball is finally back. But that is that. We will get to you guys next week with the show, same time, same place. You have been listening to Extra Innings on National Sports Radio.